Hi guys, got a bit of a issue with the gear selector here. So let's show you the issue. So I've already got this loose here. This, by the way, just I've grabbed it from here, and then from here you just pull it up and it pulls out. So I was going to start taking a look at it, but I thought I'll make a video as I go along. So see, I've got the ignition on. I haven't started this because I don't want to sort of fry the gearbox. But when we try and put it in gear, you can see from here it's going in reverse, no issues. And then we try and slide it down, that's now in neutral, which tells me, and the gearbox selector itself, it's actually in neutral. However, over here you can see it's not fully in its position. So, and then when you put it in drive, it's in drive here, same thing there, nothing. So, and then it's still got a bit of a, if you watch this now, pull it down, and it clicks into that position there, and it tells us there's an issue with the gearbox. So that tells me this isn't communicating correctly. So got one or two things. It's either an issue here or it's on the selector side itself. It won't be the gearbox side thing because I have changed over the gearbox. So firstly, I'm going to start by taking a look at what happened here, because I know the previous owner, I've bought this as a bit of a project car, and I know the previous owner had someone looking into this, and I don't think they knew exactly what they were doing, to be honest. So I'm just going to check if there's anything loose in here. First thing you want to do, put this in neutral, and then pull this up, and that just comes off. See if this comes off. Yeah. Right. So yeah. Just gonna have to put the camera down a second. Right, so we've got this off. This was a bit of a problematic one. This, I'll have to zoom it in. So that pin sort of thing there, you had to push it down and then pry out the plug. This one came off a lot easier, even though there's that pin there. But this one did pretty much slide out. So what I want to see is basically if there's anything loose here. I feel like my initial, to be honest, my at the moment my suspicion is where the selector is on the gearbox side, there's sort of like a nut there which holds this in place, and you can loosen that to make a bit of an adjustment. But that shouldn't have really moved, to be honest. So although that's what my main kind of suspicion is at the moment, I want to rule out this side, because then when I've got a bit more time, I'm going to go at the gearbox selector on the to the selector on the gearbox side. Yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out exactly where we are with this at the moment. So I want to see if there's anything loose, any cut wires or anything in here, which I don't really think there is, because it works fine. There's not like it just randomly kind of goes out of place or stops working or anything like that. It works pretty much fine in that sense, but then for some reason it has its moments, for whatever it is, which yeah, that's what I need to try and figure out. So yeah, we'll I can't see anything loose here. So I just found something which does point towards the adjustment on the cable itself. So when you've got the gear, this is now in drive. This is the final position. Now, if you can see that little tab there, you should be able to slide it across to go into sports mode or DS. But it looks like it's already in drive and it hasn't quite reached its position where it needs to be, so that's where it would need to be. So the gear selector here and the gearbox are not in perfect synchronization basically. So what that tells me, if it's engaging the gear beforehand, before it's got to its actual position that it needs to be, it needs a bit more slack basically on the gearbox side. So what I'm gonna have to do is probably put it in DS here, see where the selector is, and sort of move it back a little, I suppose. But how would that come out of adjustment? That's my question. Right, yeah, so that's what we're gonna have to go and do to start with. So this is where we've got the gear. So I've actually got the car off at the moment, but I can show you. So it's in the sports position, so I've pulled it all the way down, clicked it into the spot where it would go into sort of where you can slide it across into DS. So you can see the Triptronic works fine. And from there, it's quite stiff, so what I should be able to do from here is just go underneath the car, pull the cable apart a bit so it comes sort of out. Yeah, that should allow me to then yeah, just go ahead and give it the slack it needs. So under the car here is the sort of the passenger side of the gearbox here. I've got the car in drive in sports mode, so it clicks into its little kind of spot, and I'm going to loosen up this little cable here. So you can see this little 10mm, and there's this gap over here, which I would think would be if for some reason you need to make an adjustment of this sort. So go ahead. It's a 10mm socket on there. So I've adjusted that ever so slightly. Don't know if it's made much of a difference, but we'll see if it needs a bit more adjustment. So I've pushed that as far as I could take it, and well, yeah, that hasn't done anything. I did think I was probably getting confused and tried pushing it the other way. That didn't really help. I could take that bolt totally out that's on the selector underneath and just see if there's anything in there, but I don't feel like there's going to be an issue there. So what I'm going to do next is take this center console kind of thing out, and yeah, try and figure out if that changes anything for us, because I feel like there's going to be an issue somewhere in here underneath. Maybe this is out of position itself, or it could even be that this selector itself is worn out, because you can see if it's, because it's moving like that, and I mean, you know, it shouldn't kind of try and engage reverse just from here. So maybe this, you see that, see this movement here, that shouldn't be there. Right, so we're going to get on to trying to figure out the next bit of this. So what I need to do is remove this kind of centerpiece here. So what I've done, lift that up there, and there you go. That comes apart. Got some wiring over here. So I'm going to pull this back a little bit. I've actually taken the shifter knob off. Once you've got it off as well, what you can literally do is just put your foot on the brake and just pull it back into neutral. I've got the handbrake up obviously, so that gives us a little bit more room just to move this around. Let's see if we can pull it back. Yeah, perfect. And then you've got these couple of plugs here. So this one's pulling back on me a little bit here. So let's probably have to put the camera down to do this one sec. Okay, so I just pulled this one off to figure out how to do it. So you pull these two tabs on the side and then pull it apart, and that was slid in that little gap there. So it's from the bottom up. And that gives us a little bit more room to focus on these ones. To be honest, I don't really need to take those apart now. I think here's the part numbers. And I did originally take this 10mm off because I thought I was going to have to take this thing apart, but then played around with it a little bit and figured out I don't have to, so I'll tighten that back up. Let me figure out the next bit. We've taken, there's 3 T30 torch bits on there, so one there, one just there, one in the bottom hole, that one over there. They have got some kind of Loctite on them or something, so probably I'll have to put something like that back on. Don't think it's overly essential, but next I want to disconnect this. This is the kind of cable going down to the gearbox for the selector. I'm gonna dismantle it from here, disconnect it from here. So if you see, when it's over here, you can't get that out. It's kind of locked into this bit here. So what that means is, if you look now, from here it would potentially slide out, but this piece is in the way. So I'm going to try and figure out a way. I think I'm going to take this screw off and see if that makes a difference. Yeah, there's no way to kind of separate them, unfortunately. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to have to do for now. It's quite a tight space in there, to be honest, so I think to do it properly what I'm going to have to do is take these bits off, take off these 3 or 4 screws, and then that should allow me a bit more space to get in there. So yeah, let's see how we get along. Right then guys, I'll actually put this back in because for what it's worth, I've just checked, one of these is like 25 quid off eBay, so I'm not even going to bother taking this apart because, I mean, I've put it back now and it's not, so I've put it back now and I mean, I couldn't really see anything. Thing is, if there was an issue with this, it would have been pretty much obvious. There would have been like, you know, it would have been out of position or something along them lines, but really can't see what the reason would be. So I'm back under here because I wasn't too satisfied with that whole mechanism. The lever looks fine, so what I've gone ahead and done and just thought about, like, between here and there, the whole other variable thing could be this, where this is. So what I've done is I've bent this towards the gearbox there, and it looks a bit more straight. I don't know if this is going to serve much of a purpose, but I just know it's going to give me a bit more of a, give me a bit more kind of wiggle room over here. If you
can see it was stretched all the way out here. It's given me a little bit extra, not much, but a little bit extra. So might push it out a little bit more, to be honest, because that is the only thing that I can imagine would be the issue. It looks a little bit more better when it's straight as well, so I was thinking that must have been how it's meant to be. So I just literally got a spanner and put it in there and pushed it towards that. I just feel like it's in a much better position now. So yeah, let's take a look. Right, so we've got this back in place because that's actually fixed it. So if you look over here, there it's just in reverse. It's engaging the gears properly. That's neutral. Reverse there. That's in reverse. Back in park. There's no, I guess all it was, there was too much tension on the cable, and there we go, it's in DS mode. It's all working fine. That was nice and simple. Alright, I've test driven it as well and there hasn't been any issues as well, so just put this trim piece back in and we're good to go. Thanks for watching.